Honestly, was not what I imagined for my first time voting. I actually voted yesterday. Like I got my little sticker and everything.
Working in a swing state is probably one of the most intense things you could go through. Really see young people and Gen Z in specific rising up to the occasion.
I feel like even though we're minorities, our voices are very strong, and with the needle being pointed in either direction, it's like, one thing can just tip it completely in the opposite direction.
On college campuses, the turning leaves mean another election season. And this year, a lot of Gen Z voters are full of hope that the voices of Black, Indigenous, and people of color could make all the difference. Young BIPOC activists Jacob, Maya, and Makiah are working in swing states like Arizona, Wisconsin, and Michigan to get voters to the polls.
Every single other day, we're phone banking and reaching out to voters and just trying to find them where they are.
In Arizona, Jacob Martinez got interested in politics at an early age.
So I used to be involved with the Republican Party. I was the chairman of the Teenage Republicans. I started to have a lot of animosity and distaste for the party really around the time that Trump kind of took office, and the rhetoric about immigrants really didn't sit right with me. And then following the shooting in Parkland, we saw 17 people die, students just like me, and the Republican Party didn't want to do anything about it.
Now he's working the phones for the progressive group Next Gen and plans to vote for Joe Biden.
We are making it our top priority to not only reach out to young voters across the state, specifically, people of color, to make sure that voices that have otherwise really been not heard and ignored in the past in elections and by legislators, that we're reaching out to them and they know that they do have a voice.
In battleground Wisconsin, Maya Colon also grew up conservative and says she approves of the job the president has done.
My father has been a police officer for the last 25 years. It's really nice to see Trump's support for them. I've been making phone calls, contacting people about, who they're planning on voting for, and making sure that they have the absentee ballots if they need.
And in Detroit, Michigan, Makiah Shipp worked with U.S. Representative Rashida Tlaib during the summer to recruit young voters.
Made a TikTok style video to teach the youth how to vote and what that process was looking like for the primaries. And I was extremely excited about that because I knew that, especially in the city of Detroit, not everybody had parents that were voters, active voters, and that knew what that process was like. And so if they couldn't teach their students or their kids, then who would?
Step number 3, fill out that ballot and return it. Check if you're registered right here.
According to a Pew report, 2/3 of Zoomers think that Black people are treated less fairly than white people in the U.S., and about half of the people who said they attended a protest focused on race or racial equality this summer were under the age of 30.
No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace!
In 2016, just under 50% of eligible voters actually voted in the presidential election, and that participation dropped down to 36% for the 2018 midterms. So will 2020 be different? Makiah says she's voting for Biden, but she's still frustrated by the lack of representation.
It's definitely been the lesser of two evils. I feel like Biden does have good policy in some areas, but also I don't necessarily feel like he represents me as a Black woman in America. He just does not. When you have consistent, older white men running for president, it kind of drains you and makes you not even passionate about elections in general.
Overall, polls also show Gen Z voters see both President Trump and Joe Biden more negatively than positively, but usually tend to support Biden over Trump. But for Maya, it's not just about diversity of race, it's also about diversity of opinion. And being a Latinx Gen Z voter doesn't necessarily mean she fits a predictable profile.
I personally don't support the Black Lives Matter movement. I do, of course, support Black lives. I support all diverse, people. I feel like being a BIPOC voter, there's a certain sort of alignment that you should have, certain values that you should have. But at the same time, I'm an American. And so the values that Trump shows, being pro-Constitution and wanting to, continue the legacy that our forefathers have created for us, it's like, yeah, that's something I really enjoy. It really resonates with my values.
And with their diverse outlooks and backgrounds, Maya, Jacob, and Makiah are hoping that getting involved will mean more representation across the board.
What I'm more optimistic about is giving the resources to not only one standard of people, but for everyone. Having more Black and brown representation in everything, whether that be policy, legislation, or just on our TV screens and media. I hope that things can really come full circle and that the things that we have been fighting for can actually start to be seen and not just something that we continue to speak about.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.